What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can automate a tax form using make.com. Let's get started. Here are all the processes that we're going to automate in a tax form. So the first one is the initial consultation and info gathering from a client. We're going to gather our information using Typeform. And on the Typeform, we're also going to ask our client to schedule an initial consultation call. Then after we jump on a call with the client and we think that we can help them, we are going to onboard them. So to onboard them, we are going to provide the relevant document submissions and verify the information. We're also going to send them a Stripe invoice for them to make a payment. After onboarding them, the next process that we're going to automate is the post-filing support. Here, we're going to set up automated email notifications for clients regarding refunds, payments due, or updates from tax authorities. After automating the post-filing support, the next process that we're going to automate is the ongoing support and communication process, where we'll automate the follow-up emails and reminders for regular check-ins or updates based on the client's financial situation. The other process that we're going to automate is the client education. We will send email campaigns or newsletters that provide clients with tax tips, updates on tax laws, or other relevant information. The last process that we're going to automate in a tax form is the client feedback and surveys process, where here we're going to send a survey to our clients to collect feedback after tax season or after completing a service to help improve our future services. I'm going to automate all these processes by setting up automation on make.com. Let's get started. On Make, I've created a folder and named it Tax Form Automation System. So to get started, I'm going to click on Create a New Scenario. In this scenario, we're going to automate the process of gathering clients' information and adding it to a project management tool, which in this case, I'm going to use Monday.com. I'll rename my scenario to Add List to Monday.com via Typeform. Then here, I'll search for Typeform, then click on Typeform. I'll click on Watch Response. On Typeform, I've created a form called Automating a Tax Form. Here, we have a welcome page. Then we are gathering their data over here. We're asking them to enter their personal information, where we're asking their first name, last name, phone number, email, and company they work in. We're also asking them, do you have any self-employment or business income? And then give them an option to either say yes or no. We're also asking them, have you filed your taxes in the previous year? Whether saying yes or no. How much do you pay in property taxes or mortgage interest? And then here they can add the amount. We're also asking them, did you contribute to a retirement plan or IRA? They can choose either yes or no. Here we're asking them, did you pay for health insurance? So here they can say yes or no. Then lastly, we're asking them to book an event, date and time using our calendar for an initial discovery call or an initial consultation call. Here, they'll select a date and time and schedule for the initial consultation call with us. And then all this data that we are collecting on our form, we are adding it to a project management tool, which in this case we're using Monday.com. And then on Monday, I have a workspace that I've renamed Lux Tax Form. And then here's where we're adding all our clients that are filling in our form. On Lux Tax Form, I've created a board and renamed it to Tax Form Clients. We are adding their full name, they were created, their status, which in this case we have intake, onboard, refunds, due payments, updates, regular check-ins, newsletter, and survey as our status. We're also collecting their first name, last name, company, email, and phone number. Now let us set up the automation that will collect the data from our form and add it to our project management tool using make.com. Now on make.com, I'll create a connection between Typeform and Make. You just click on Add, then rename your connection, then click on Save. But since I had already done that, I'm going to click on Close and just choose our form ID. So here I'm going to choose our form and then click on OK. And then here we can choose to start from now. And then click on OK. Here, I'm going to click on Share. Here, we'll find the link to our form. So I'll copy it and open a new tab and post our link. Now we can fill in our form and see if we're going to retrieve this information on this module right here on make.com. Now let us get started. Here we can add personal info of, let's say, Helen Jones. You can add their phone number right here and their email. And then you work at Annex and then click on OK. So you have any self-employment or business income? Can say yes. Have you filed the taxes in the previous year? Yes. much do you pay in property taxes? You can say that 500. Did you contribute to a retirement plan? Say yes. Do you pay for health insurance? You can say yes. And here we can select a date and time. So we can say, let's say 8th at 1:30. Here's our client's name and email. Then we'll click on schedule event. Now when we go back to our automation, I'll run this module, and here you will see all the details that we just filled in on our form: the first name, last name, phone number, email, company, and the questions that they just answered. We're also getting the calendar event for the call that they just booked. The next thing I'll do, I'll choose to list our responses, but before that I'm going to sleep for 3 seconds, and then on type form I'll click on list responses. I'll choose our form, and then for the limit I'm going to limit it to 1, and then click on OK. Now instead of filling in the form again, I'm going to choose to start from the previous submission that we just did, which is this, and then click on OK, and then run it. And you can see we are listing our responses right here. Now let us add all these data to Monday. To do that, I'll search for Monday and then search for create an item module. Here you'll also need to create a connection between Monday and Make. To create a connection, you'll click on add. You'll require to add your API key over here. So on Monday, click on your profile, and then go to administration. On administration, click on connection, and then click on API. Then you can copy your API token. Then you can come and paste it right here. And then rename your connection, then click on save, and your connection will have been created. But since I had already created a connection, I'm going to close this and then choose a connection, which is automating a tax firm connection. And then for the item name, I'm going to give our item name as the name of our client. So here we're going to pick the first name, then space, last name. For our board ID, our board is called tax firm clients. I'm going to click on tax firm clients. Our group ID is called clients list. Here we can begin adding items that we would like to add to our Monday.com CRM. So the first thing I'll add is the assignee, where the assignee is just going to be me. It's a person. I'm going to choose myself. The second item that we'll add is the company. Then the value for the company, we're going to choose the company value over here. And then next item we're going to add is date created. So for the date, we can say submitted at as our date created. And the other item that we'll add is the email. Then here we can add the value for the email, which is the email right here. You can also add it as the text. The other item that we'll add is the first name. The value of the first name will be this one right here. Sixth item is the last name. We can add the value for the last name over here. The other item that we'll add is the phone number. And then here we can add the digits, the phone number, which is this one right here, code will be US. And the last item we'll add is the status. We'll assign a label, and the label will be intake. And then click on OK. Now to see if we'll add Helen to our Monday.com CRM over here, I'll choose to start from our previous form that we submitted of Helen, which is this one right here, and click on OK. Then can run it. So here we got our responses. We delete for a second so we can list the responses. Then we added their details to Monday.com right here. When we go back to Monday, you'll see we have a new client that we just added right here, Helen Jones. Just added them right now. The status is intake. Here we have their first name, last name, the company they work at, their email, and their phone number. And we are doing that by just setting up the simple automation on Make.com. Now, after adding our clients to our CRM and jumping on a call with them, if they are qualified, we'll proceed to onboard them. Now, by onboarding them, we're going to send them an onboarding checklist that they're going to follow so they can get onboarded. We're also going to send them an invoice on Stripe so they can make a payment. On our tax firm automation system folder, I'm going to click on create a new scenario. On our scenario, I'll rename it to send client onboarding checklist and invoice. I like to trigger this scenario via a webhook. Yeah, I'll click on webhooks and then click on custom webhook. I like to trigger our webhook after our status changes to onboard. So here I'll click on add to create a new webhook and rename it to client onboarding, and then click on save. Then I'll copy this link and then click on OK. Now on Monday, I'll click on integrate, then click on webhooks, and I'd like to send a webhook when a status changes to something. So I'll use this template. I'll choose another account and then paste the link that we just copied over here. And then here I'll run this webhook, and then here I'll click on connect. You can see over here it was successful, but here it says failed to communicate with URL provided. I'll need to connect it by returning this challenge response over here. Now to do that, I'll add curly braces, and then here I'll try to return this challenge response, and then click on OK. Now I'll run it and then click on connect on Monday. You can see it was a success over here. So we can delete the response since we no longer need the response, and set up a webhook. So we'd like to send our webhook when our status changes to onboard, and then click on create automation. Now when we go back to our webhook and run it and change one of our client's status to onboard, you can see we're getting their data over here. That's awesome. Now to get all their data, on Monday, I'll search for get an item module and click on it. Here I'll choose the right connection. And then for the ID, I'm going to add our Pulse ID. Then for the board ID, I'll add tax form clients as our board ID. And then click on OK. Now here, I'll copy the Pulse ID, then run this module by pasting our Pulse ID and then clicking on OK. Now you can see we are getting all their details right here, including the dates they were created, their first name, last name, their company they work in, their email, and phone number. Now with their data, we can now send them the client onboarding checklist. On my Google Drive, I have a folder called onboarding system, and in the folder I have this onboarding checklist, and this is the document that I would like to send our clients so that they can follow the document step by step so they can get onboarded in our form. I'll add another module and search for Drive, then click on Google Drive. I'll click on search for files and folder module. On this module, I'll find our folder, which is onboarding system. Then I'll retrieve files and folders, and I'll search by full text search since we already know the name of our document, which is onboarding checklist. Then since it's only one document, I'm going to limit it to one, and then click on OK. Here I'll run this module to see if we're going to retrieve our document, and you can see we're retrieving our onboarding checklist over here. Now with our document, we can create a shareable link so we can send it to our client as a link. So on Drive, I'll click on get a share link. Here I'll add our file ID, which will be this file ID. The role you can either choose owner, writer, commenter, or reader. I'm going to leave it as reader. Type, you can say anyone with the link, and then click on OK. I'll copy our file ID and then run this module by pasting our file ID and clicking on OK. And you can see it's creating a shareable link that we can add it to our email and send it to our client via email. And besides sending them the onboarding checklist, we can also send them a Stripe invoice. On automation, yeah, I'll search for Stripe, and the first thing I'll do is I'll search for our customer. Now, if you do not have this particular customer to your Stripe, you can begin by creating the customer on Stripe and then finding them and then now creating an invoice for them. But I'm going to assume that you already have this customer in your Stripe customer list. And here we're going to search via their email. So their email, we're going to use the email that we had right here, the email address. And we can limit it to whatever number you want, but now I'm going to just limit it to 1 and click on OK. With our customer right here, we can create an invoice for them. So I'm going to go back on Stripe and search for invoice. then I'm going to click on create a new invoice. To create our invoice, we'll need to add our customer ID over here. So we can search via email to find our customer ID. Now with our customer ID, for the collection method, I'm going to say send invoice. You can say days until due. You can say let's say 3 days. You can add the description. You can add the subscription ID if you have one. But I'm just going to choose to leave it as is and click on OK. Now after creating our invoice, I'm going to finalize the invoice. So here, I'm going to click on finalize the draft invoice module. And here I'll add our invoice ID. And click on OK. With our invoice and the link to our onboarding checklist, I can send both links to our client via email. So here, I'll search for email and then click on send an email module. To send our email, I'll add our client's email right here. So for their email address, I'm getting their email address over here. And the subject lines on the lines of welcome customer name. You can either add their first name via the Stripe module or the Monday module right here. So you can say welcome first name. And then the subject line, you can say welcome first name, invoice, and onboarding checklist inside. Then for the content of the email, we can say hi first name. We're excited to have you as part of our farm, and we look forward to helping you manage and optimize your tax needs with precision and care. To get started, I've included 2 important links below. Number 1, invoice. You can review and complete the payment using this link. Here we'll add the link to the invoice. And the second link is for the onboarding checklist, where we're saying this checklist outlines everything we need to ensure a smooth onboarding process. Then to add the onboarding checklist, we're going to go back to our get share link module and then click on the share link over here. And the email continues to say, it includes the key documents and details that will help us get to speed with your tax situation. Please take a moment to go through the checklist and provide any requested information. If anything is unclear or if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We're here to guide you through every step of the way. Once the payment is settled and the onboarding form is completed, we'll get to work and ensuring your taxes are fully optimized and compliant. Thank you for choosing us. We're excited to help you achieve peace of mind with your tax and management. Best regards, Kim. Then click on OK. Now, to test if automation works perfectly, I'm going to click on Run Once. I'm going to change the status of Helen to Onboard. It triggered our webhook, and our webhook got the client, we got the document, we got the link to the document, we got the customer, we created an invoice for them, and then we finalized the invoice, and now we're sending both the onboarding checklist and the invoice to our client via email. So here you can see the email that we're sending them. So the subject line is welcome Helen, invoice and onboarding checklist inside. And then the content of the email, we're saying, hi Helen, we're excited to have you part of our farm. Here's the link to the invoice, and here's the link to the onboarding checklist. Please fill it up, and if you have a question, please let us know. Best Kim. With this automation, we're sending the client the onboarding checklist and the invoice right here. We just automated this process over here. After setting up the client onboarding automation, we are sending them the client checklist and the invoice via email. The next process that we can automate is the post-filing support process, where we are setting up automated email notification for the clients regarding refunds, due payments, or updates from tax authorities. On our tax farm automation system folder, I'm going to click a new scenario. I'll break it down into 3, where I'll set up an automated email notification for a client regarding refunds, and another one regarding payments, due payments, and another one regarding updates from tax authorities. For this scenario, I'll create an automated email notification for clients regarding refunds. So here, I like to trigger a webhook. So I'll click on custom webhook. This webhook will be triggered when the status of one of our clients changes to refunds. So here I'll click on add and rename our webhook to refunds, and then click on save. Here I'll copy the link and click on OK. And then on Monday, I'll click on integrate, and then webhooks. And I'd like to send a webhook when a status changes to something. So I'll use this as our template. And then here I'll use another account and then paste the URL over here. I'll run our webhook. And then on Monday, I'll click on connect. It's saying if you'll communicate with the URL provided. So like we did previously, we're going to have to connect it using the webhook response. So here, I'll try to return the webhook response. and then add the challenge response right here, then click on OK. Now if we run it and then here click on connect, you can see it ran successfully. You can delete the webhook response since we no longer need it, and then set up our webhook right here. So we would like to send our webhook when our status changes to refunds, and then click on create automation. Now when we run our webhook and change the status of one of our clients to refunds, you can see it's triggering our webhook right here, and this is the client. Now to get his entire data from Monday, I'll click on Monday, then search for get an item, then click on get an item. Now for the ID, I'm going to add our pulse ID, and the board ID is going to be tax farm clients, then click on OK. Now to get the details of our client, I'm going to copy this pulse ID, and then run this module by pasting the pulse ID and clicking on OK. Now you can see we are getting the data of our client over here. So we're getting the first name, his first name, last name, company, email, phone number. Now we can set up the email notification regarding the refunds. To do that, I'll click on email and then click on send an email module. For the email address, I'm going to add the client's email address over here. And then the subject line could be in the lines of refund processed for, and then we're adding the name, which we're getting the first name over here. And the rest of the content of the email could be in the lines of hi, first name, the first name over here. We wanted to inform you that your refund has been successfully processed. Your amount has been credited back to your original payment method. Please note that depending on your payment provider, it may take a few days for the refund to appear in your account. If you have any questions or any further assistance, feel free to reach out and we'll be happy to help. Thank you for your understanding, Kim. Then click on OK. So this will be the refund email that we are sending them in case they need a refund. Then click on OK. You can set up a filter and label it as there is a refund. And then for the condition, you can say if the state is active. And then click on OK. As the automation, I'm going to click on run once and then change the status of one of our clients to refunds. You can see we got our webhook, then we got the data of our client over here. So it's Ellen Jones, including their email and their phone number. Then we went ahead and sent them a refund email with the subject line as refund process for Helen. And then this is the content of the email that we are sending to Helen. Besides the refund one, we can set up another one for the due payments. To set up the other one regarding the due payments, on our tax farm automation system, I'll create a new scenario. For this automation, I'm going to rename it to automated email notification for clients regarding due payments. I'm going to trigger this automation after our status has changed to due payments. So it's going to be similar to this one. The only difference is the status that triggers the webhook and the content of the email. So here we can copy these modules and use the same modules for this one over here to try and make our work a little bit easier. So the label for this one will be due payments. So the state should be active and then click on OK. Now we'll need to first of all create a webhook for this automation right here. To do that, I'll click on add, then rename our webhook to due payments, then click on save, then copy the link of the webhook, then click on OK. Now on Monday, I'll click on integrate, then webhooks. Then we'd like to send our webhook when a status changes to something. So here I'll use another account and then paste the link that we just copied over here. And then here, I'll unlink it first so we can try and connect the webhook first. So I'll run the webhook. And then here, click on connect. You can see it ran successfully over here. It failed to communicate with the URL provided. So like we did previously, we'll need to connect the webhook with this webhook response, with this challenge response right here. So I'll try to return this challenge response, then click on OK. Now I'll run this webhook and then click on connect. Now you can see it connected successfully, so I'll delete this one. Then here set up our webhook. So we'd like to send our webhook when our status changes to due payments, and then click on create automation. So I'll click on OK. Then here, to test our webhook, I'll run it and change one of our clients' status to due payments. And you can see it's triggering our webhook, and we're getting all this data right here. Now, to get all this data, I'm going to connect it to our Monday over here. Everything looks perfect. We need our pulse ID, and the board ID is correct. Now, the only thing that we have to change is the content of our email. For email address, we know the email address will come from over here. We'll need to rewrite the subject line and the content of the email afresh. After writing the email, the subject line could be on the lines of payment due reminder. Then the content of the email could be on the lines of hi first name. This is a friendly reminder that your payment is due. Complete your payment before the end of the day to ensure completion of the ongoing service. If you already made the payments, disregard this message. If you have any questions or need assistance, feel free to reach out. We're here to help. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Kim. So this could be the sample email that we are sending them regarding due payments. So we can rename this email to due payments email and then click on OK. To test our automation if it is working perfectly, I'll click on run. And then here, change the status of one of our clients to due payment. You can see it triggers our webhook. And here we're getting details of our client. And then we're going ahead and sending them the due payments email. The subject line of payment due reminder. And the content of the email is this one right here. We're saying it's a friendly reminder. Your payment is due. Complete your payment before the end of the day. And then thank you for your attention to this matter. Okay. Then click on OK. Automation is working perfectly. We can set up the third one that regards updates from tax authorities. Now, on our tax form automation system, I'll click on create a new scenario. For this one, I'll rename it to automated email notification for clients regarding updates from tax authorities. Since it's going to be similar to the due payments email and the refund email, I'll copy these modules and paste over here. So I like to trigger this automation when one of our status changes to updates. So here, I'll click on the webhook and then click on add to create a new webhook and rename it to updates from tax authorities webhook. And then click on save. Here, I'll copy the link of this webhook and then click on OK. And then I'll unlink the webhook so we can connect it correctly. So here on Monday, I'll click on integrate, then click on webhooks. Then I'd like to send a webhook when a status changes to something, so I'm going to use this template. Then here I'll use another account and paste the link that we just copied over here. Now I'll run this webhook and then here click on connect. Here we'll need to return the challenge response like we did previously. So here on webhooks, I'll click on webhook response, and then try to return this challenge response over here. Add the challenge over here, and then click on OK. Now I'll click on run once. Then here I'll click on connect. You can see it was successfully connected, so I'll delete the response and then set up our webhook. So we'd like to send our webhook when our status changes to updates, and then click on create automation. And here I'll click on OK. And to test our webhook, I'll run it. And then here change one of our clients' status to updates. You can see it triggers our webhook, and we're getting the clients whose status we just changed. Now to get all this data, we're going to connect it back to Monday. Can auto align it. You can see the module is connected perfectly. We need the pulse ID and the board ID is set up correctly. Here we can label it to updates. And with the condition, we can set up the state is active and click on OK. And now the only thing that we have to change is the email. So for the email address is going to come from the email right here. Now you can rewrite the subject line and the content of the email afresh. For the subject line could be on the lines of important updates from tax authorities. And then the content of the email could be on the lines of hi first name. We wanted to notify you of the recent update from the tax authorities that may affect your tax filings or obligations. Our team is currently reviewing the details and will ensure that your tax filings comply with the new guidelines. If this update requires any action from your side, we'll be in touch with further instructions. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or concerns about how these may impact you. We are here to help ensure everything is handled smoothly. Best regards, Kim. So this could be the email that we are sending them regarding the tax authorities updates. So we can rename this to tax updates email and then click on OK. Now we can auto align it. To test if the automation works perfectly, I'll click on run once. And then here, I'll change the status of one of our clients to updates to trigger our webhook. You can see it's triggering our webhook. I'm getting the client that just changed the status. And then here we're getting the details of the clients, including the first name, last name, email, company they work in, email, and phone number. And then we're sending them this email right here. The subject line is important updates from tax authorities. And then the content of the email is this one right here, where we're saying we would like to notify you the recent updates from the tax authorities that may affect your tax filings. Please feel free to reach out if they have any questions. Best regards, Kim. So this is a tax updates email that we are sending them using this simple automation that we just set up. So by setting up these three automations, one regarding the refunds, the other one regarding the due payments, and the last one regarding the updates from tax authorities, we are automating this post-filing support process over here. The next process that we can automate is the ongoing support and communication system, where we will set up automated follow-up emails and reminders for regular check-ins or updates based on the client's financial situation. To set up this automation, on our tax farm automation system folder, I'll click on create a new scenario. I'll rename our scenario to automated follow-up emails and reminders for regular check-ins. Here, I like to create a webhook that will be triggered after our status changes to regular check-ins. Here, I'll click on webhooks and then click on custom webhooks. I'll create a new webhook by clicking on add, then rename our webhook to regular check-ins. And then click on save. Then here, I'll copy this link and then click on OK. And then on Monday, I'll click on integrate, then webhooks. And then I like to send a webhook when our status changes to something, so I'll use this template. I'll choose another account connection and paste the link that we just copied over here. And then here, I'll run our webhook. And then on Monday, I'll click on connect. So here, create a response of the webhook by clicking on webhooks, then click on webhook response. Here, I'll try to return the challenge response. And add the challenge response right here, and then click on OK. I'll run our webhook. And then on Monday, I'll click on connect. You can see it ran successfully. You can delete the response since we no longer need it. And then set up our webhook. So I like to send our webhook when our status changes to regular check-ins, and then click on create automation. Now, to test if our webhook works perfectly, I'll click on run once. And then on Monday, I'll change the status of one of our clients to regular check-ins. And you can see it triggers our webhook right here. And we're getting the client that we just changed their status. That means our webhook is working perfectly. Now, we're not able to get all his details like email, phone number, or first and last name. Now, to get all his data, on Monday, I'll search for get an item module. And then click on get an item module. Here, I'll choose the right connection. And then here, add our pulse ID. For the board ID, I'll choose our board ID, which is tax farm clients. And then click on OK. Here, I'll copy the pulse ID. And then run this module by pasting its pulse ID right here, and then clicking on OK. Getting more details of our client. So we're getting the first name, last name, company they work in, email, and phone number. Since over here, we like for them to schedule regular check-ins, on automation, I'll search for Calendly. Then click on Calendly. Now here, we'll create a scheduling link and send the link to them via email for them to schedule for a check-in. So here I'll click on create a scheduling link module. Here I'll choose the right connection, which is my Calendly connection. For the maximum event count, you can say 1. For the event type, I'll say strategy session, and then click on OK. Now we can send this client an email with the scheduling link in the email. So here, I'll search for email and then click on send an email. Rename it to regular check-ins email. And then for the email address, I'm going to add the email address over here. And then the subject line could be on the lines of regular check-in. Let's review your financial situation. And then the content of the email could be on the lines of hi, first name. As part of our ongoing commitment to keeping your financial and tax situation optimized, it's time for our regular check-in. I'd like to schedule a brief review of your current financial situation to ensure everything is on track and identify any opportunity for tax saving or adjustments. If you've experienced any changes in your income, investments, or other financial aspects recently, this will be a great time to discuss them. Please use the following link to select a convenient time for a consultation. Then the scheduling link, we're using the link that we just created over here, adding it over here. I look forward to our conversation and continuing to support you in achieving your financial goal. Best regards, Kim. So this could be the email that we are sending them for them to schedule a call for a regular check-in. So here I'll click on OK. Now, besides the regular check-ins, we can also send them a follow-up email. So I'll clone this email and rename it to follow-up email. Then click on OK. Now, the only thing that we're going to change on the email is the subject line and the content of our email. Now, let us write the subject line and the content of the email. For the follow-up email, the subject line could be on the lines of follow-up, schedule check-in. Then the email is on the lines of hi, first name. I wanted to follow up regarding our recent check-in about your financial situation. Your financial well-being is important to us, and I'm here to ensure that everything is aligned with your goals. If you have any specific topics or questions you'd like to discuss, feel free to share them. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Best regards, Kim. So this could be the follow-up email that we're sending after a few days. Now here we can set up a filter and label it, let's say wait 2 days or however many days you like to wait. And here you can say the day should be equal to, now you can add number of days. So from the time the webhook was triggered, you can add 2 days and click on OK. Now let us test if our automation will work perfectly. So to test the automation, I'll click on run once. Now when we change one of our clients' status to regular check-ins, we'll trigger our webhook and we'll get the client that we just changed to their status. In this case, it's Helen. Now we'll create a scheduling link and send them the regular check-in email. The subject line of the email is regular check-in, let's review your financial situation. And here is the content of the email that we are sending them. Now, after 2 days, it will send the follow-up email to them. With this simple automation, we are automating the ongoing support and communication process where we're sending automated follow-up emails and reminders for regular check-ins and updates based on the client's financial situation. The next process that we're going to automate is the client education process. Here, we'll send automated email campaigns or newsletters that provide clients with tax tips, updates on tax laws, and other relevant information. To automate this process, on our tax farm automation system folder, I'll click on create a new scenario. Rename our scenario to automated newsletters that provide clients with tax tips and updates on tax laws. Webhook on automation that's triggered after the status of one of our clients is changed to newsletter. So here, I'll search for webhooks, then click on custom webhook. Here, I'll click on add, then rename my webhook to newsletter webhook. And then click on save. And then here, I'll copy the link of the webhook and click on OK. On Monday, I'll click on integrate. Then click on webhooks. And we'd like to send a webhook when the status changes to something. Here, I'll choose another account connection, then paste the link that we just copied right here. And then on our webhook, I'll run it and connect over here. Here, it failed to connect with the URL provided. Connect our webhook to monday.com. I'll return this response right here and click on OK. So here, I'll run it. And then on Monday, I'll click on connect. You can see it ran successfully. You can delete the webhook response and set up our webhook. So when a status changes to newsletter, we'd like to send a webhook. So here I'll click on create automation, and then to test our webhook, I'll click on run once, and then change the status of one of our clients to newsletter. Triggers our webhook right here. We're getting the client that we changed all their data. On Monday, I'll search for get an item, then click on the ID. I'll add the pulse ID, and then choose our board ID over here. Our board ID is tax from clients, and then click on OK. So yeah, I'll copy our pulse ID, and then run this module by pasting the pulse ID and then clicking on OK. Now you can see we're getting all the information from this client. So we're getting their first name, last name, company, email, and phone number. Now we can begin setting up email campaigns or newsletters that provide tax tips and updates on tax laws. Now, I'll search for email, then click on send an email. It will be a tax tips email campaign. And click on OK. For the email, we're going to add the email address right here. The subject line could be on the lines of helpful tax tips and updates for you. And then the content of the email is on the lines of hi, first name, hope you're doing well. As part of our commitment to supporting you through the year, I wanted to share some valuable tax tips and relevant information that can help you optimize your financial situation. So the tax tips for you: number one is keep track of your deductions. Make sure you're documenting any potential deductions such as business expense, medical costs, and charitable contribution throughout the year. Consider retirement contribution, review tax credits, relevant updates, and then here we are adding recent tax changes, and we can mention any recent changes in tax laws that could benefit them. If you have any questions about these tips or how they apply to your situation, please feel free to reach out. I'm here to help you navigate your tax journey. Best regards, Kim. So this could be the email that we are sending them on the tax tips email, and click on OK. Here we can set up a filter and label it as email newsletter. You can say state should be active, and click on OK. You can also set up another email for the updates on tax laws. So I'll clone this email and rename it to tax laws updates email, then click on OK. Now the email, the only thing that we're changing is the subject line and the content of the email. Now for the tax law updates email, the subject line could be on the lines of important updates on tax laws and regulation, and the content of the email could be on the lines of hi, first name, I hope this message finds you well. I wanted to take a moment to share some important updates on tax laws and regulation that may impact your financial planning and tax obligation. And then here we're outlining the recent tax law changes 1, 2, and 3. Then you can add any additional relevant info like upcoming tax deadlines, resource for your references. And the rest of the email could be in the lines of staying informed about these changes is crucial for optimizing your tax situation. If you have any questions or would like to discuss how these updates might affect you, please do not hesitate to reach out. Best regards, Kim. Then click on OK. The only thing we're going to do is we're going to set up a filter to ensure that these emails are not going at the same date. So we can choose to wait maybe 2 days. And then here we can say date should equal to, can add a few days after the webhook is triggered. Let's say 2 days. And then here click on OK. Now I'll save it and auto align it. Now to test if automation is working perfectly, I'll run it. On Monday, I'll change the status of one of our clients to newsletter, which triggers our webhook, and then gets the data of the client who just changed their status over here. In this case, it's Helen, and then send them the tax tip email. The subject line of the email that we're sending them is helpful tax tips and updates for you. And then here is the content of the email that we are sending them. We are sending them tax tips and any relevant updates. After 2 days, we'll send the tax law update email. And with this simple automation, we are automating the client education process right here. The last process that we're going to automate in a tax firm is the client feedback and survey process. Here, we'll send a survey email to collect client feedback after tax season or after completing the service, helping us improve our future services. On our tax firm automation system folder, I'll click on create a new scenario. I'll rename my scenario to automated survey email to collect client feedback after tax season or after completing a service. We're going to set up a webhook right here that is triggered after the status of one of our clients is changed to survey. So here, I'll search for webhooks and then click on custom webhook. Here, I'll click on add and rename my webhook to client feedback. Then click on save. Here I'll copy the link of our webhook and click on OK. And on Monday, I'll click on integrate, and then click on webhooks, and then I'll choose to send a webhook when our status changes to something. So I'll use this template. I'll choose another account connection by clicking on use another account, and then paste the link that we just copied over there. And then here, I'll run our webhook. Monday, I'll click on connect. Here we'll need to verify the URL provided. And we'll do that by returning this webhook response. The challenge over here, then click on OK. Now I'll run it, and then here I'll click on connect. You can see it ran successfully. We can remove the webhook response, and let's set up our webhook changes to when our status changes to survey, and click on create an automation. That's awesome. So here I'll run our webhook to try and test if it's working perfectly, and then on Monday I'll change one of our clients' status to survey to trigger our webhook. You can see we got the client who we changed their status. That's awesome. Now to get all their details on Monday, I'll search for get an item, and then click on the module. Now for the ID, I'll add the pulse ID, and for the board ID, I'll choose our board right here, which is tax farm clients, and click on OK. Now I'll copy the pulse ID, and then run this module only by pasting the pulse ID over here and clicking on OK. Now you can see we are getting all the details right here, including first name, last name, company, email, and phone number. Now with their email, we can send them the survey email to collect feedback. Here I'll search for email, and then click on send an email. I've renamed our email as survey email, and the subject line of the email is on the lines of we value your feedback, and then the content of the email on the lines of hi, first name, I hope you're doing well. Now that tax season has wrapped up, I wanted to take a moment and thank you for trusting us with your tax needs this year. Your satisfaction is our top priority, and we're always looking for ways to improve our services. To help us serve you better in the future, I would greatly appreciate if you took a few minutes to provide your feedback on your experience with us by completing our survey, and access the survey using the following link. So on Typeform, I've created a client feedback survey. We're asking them how satisfied are you with our services, and then they can rate us. We're also asking them how likely are you to recommend our services to others. They can rate us. That question that we're asking them is how well did we communicate throughout the project, and then they can type in their answer right here. We're also asking them, is there anything else you'd like to share about your experience with our services? And they can type their answer right there. And then we're also asking them, do you have any suggestion for improving our services? And they can type their suggestion right here. I'll click on share. We're going to copy the link to our survey and add the link right here to our email. And then the rest of the email could be on the lines of your insights are invaluable and your responses will help us enhance our services to better meet your needs. Thank you again for choosing us. We look forward to hearing your thoughts. Best regards, Kim. Then click on OK. Filter and label it a survey, and the stage should be active. Then click on OK. Now our automation is set up correctly. Test if automation works. I'll run it, and then on Monday I'll change the status of one of our clients to survey to trigger our automation. See, we triggered our webhook, then we got the data of the client that we changed their status and sent them the survey email. So the subject line of the email is we value your feedback. Then the content of the email is right here. You can access the survey form using this link right here. So with this simple automation, we have automated the client feedback and survey process. This was a video showing you how you can automate all the processes in a tax firm. For the first one, we were collecting leads via Typeform and adding them to a CRM. In this case, we're using money.com. The second automation that we set up, we're onboarding our clients, where we are sending them the onboarding checklist and also sending them the invoice so they can make a payment via email. Then the third automation that we're setting up is automated email notifications for clients regarding refunds. We're also setting up another automated email notification regarding due payments. The fifth automation we are setting up is automated email notifications for clients regarding updates from tax authorities. The sixth automation that we are setting up is automated follow-up emails and reminders for regular check-ins and updates on tax laws. We are sending an email to our client regarding tax tips, and we are scheduling another one regarding tax law updates. The last automation that we are setting up is an automation that sends a survey email to collect client feedback after tax season or after completing a service. So these are all the processes that we can automate in a tax firm. If you have an automation in mind or a system that you'd like for me to create, just comment down below in the comment section. I read all the comments, and if I land on your comment and I find it intriguing, I'll come back on a future video showing you how to set up the entire automation or system from scratch. But for now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.